ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله تبارك وتعالى وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue on the great book by the great illustrious scholar or Imam al-Alim al-Jihbidh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah rahmatun wasi'ah, in the book that is entitled Kitab Usool al-Eemaan. As we start on the first hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that was al-Hadith al-Qudsi. We said al-Hadith al-Qudsi, the meaning and likewise the wording is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The meaning and the wording is from Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. And we said that there was furuq, and that there was differences between al-Hadith al-Qudsi and that which is also the Quran. And from those furuq is number one, which is what, everyone? Without looking in your books. Close your books. Hold on, don't holler out. Hold on. He was answering? Who was answering? Who was answering? Yeah.
The difference?
The differences that we named from last lesson.
The Quran is recited and you get the reward for the recitation.
يتعبد بتلاوته. That's number one. That the Quran, that one is to recite it, or for the recitation of it is what? Is used in order for worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and draw close to Him by seeking His reward by reciting it. As the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَالْحَسَنَةُ بِعَشْرِ أَمْثَالِهَا وَلَا أَقُولُ أَلِفْ لَام مِيم حرف ولكن ألف حرف وميم حرف لام حرف وميم حرف. So that which is number one, even though he went out of order, but that don't matter, alhamdulillah, at least he knew one. That would, firstly, that the Quran, and one draws close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by reciting it and hopes for the reward of it. So that's the first difference between al-Hadith al-Qudsi, or you can say al-Qudusi, between al-Hadith al-Qudsi or al-Qudusi and the Quran. طيب, number two.
The Quran, Allah challenged the Quraysh, he challenged the creation, and in the Qudsi, he didn't challenge the creation.
Jade, in summary. Number two. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the Quran is a mu'jizun, lafzan wa ma'nan. Lafzan, or bilafzihi wa ma'nahu. بمعنى أن الله تبارك وتعالى تحدى الخلق بالقرآن. تحدى الخلق كلهم بالقرآن يأتوا بسورة من مثله أو 10 آيات من مثله أو آية منه أو آية من أو 10 آيات منه to the end of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he challenged firstly the Quran is a miracle in His wording and His meaning. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenged the creation to bring something similar to it. Either an ayat similar to it, or surah similar to it, or 10 ayat, and that which is similar to that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenged the khalq by the Quran. Because it's what? It's a mu'jizah, it's a miracle, as far as its wording, and likewise its what? Its meaning. That's besides what? Al-Hadith al-Qudsi. That's in contrast to Al-Hadith al-Qudsi. Why? Because Al-Hadith al-Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not challenge the creation by it. طيب. Third difference. Jade. Keep going. I'm sorry. Jade. What's that, number 3? Number 3 is that the Quran is suwar wa ayat wa ahzab wa ajza. The Quran is different ayat, suwar, as we know, juz and hizb, as you find in the Mus'haf, ahzab, and likewise ajza, in which that you will find al-Hadith al-Qudsi is not broken down into those categories. You will not find that in al-Hadith al-Qudsi. Likewise, at the same time, we put it, if not, we think we made it a separate category. Likewise, we included in the same category, that the Hadith or the Quran has been narrated to us by tariq al-tawatur. The Quran has been related to us by the tariq of what? By the way of al-tawatur. In contrast to al-Hadith al-Qudsi, for various related to it, some of it is what? Hadith Qudsi, Hadith mutawatir, or some of it is not mutawatir. Some of it is Hasan, Sa'id, to the end of it. In contrast to the Quran is what has been narrated to us by what? In a way that is what they call mutawatir. As we talked about the ta'rif of his al-Hafiz, he says, the ta'rif of أن يكون عندك عدد رواه مما استحال في العادة تواطؤ مع الكذب روى عن مثلها من الابتداء إلى الانتهاء وكان مستند انتهاء الحس. That's he said the ta'rif of Hadith al-Mutawatir is. That he said that the meaning of al-Tawatur is that you have numerous narrators, a numerous group of narrators. He said مما استحال في العادة تواطؤ مع الكذب. He says, of course, which is habitually known, that it is impossible for all those narrators to agree on a lie. It's too many. And they narrated similar to that, or upon similar to them in the isnad, from that which from beginning to the end, and that which they relied upon in it was what? Al-His, that which they senses. So we said al-Hadith al-Qudsi can be either be mutawatir or it can what? Be other than mutawatir. Right, everyone? طيب. Was there another difference?
Here, but Jibril alayhi salam brought the Quran down. Is that one of them?
He's close. It's almost, it coincides with what we said. تفضل. Hold on for 1 second. No, you already answered. تفضل.
Quran can be related or recited only by an Arabic while
Basically meaning what? Can't be what?
by its meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Can be
You looked at that notebook. That notebook helped you out. Hey, تفضل. Hey. تفضل. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead.
so hadith can be recited by its meaning.
Ahsant. The summary of it, basically, is also it coincides with كما تفضل به أخونا الآن محسن. That's what he said. That the Quran, when it's recited just as it was revealed. Just as كما أنزل. And it's narrated just as it was revealed. And it's recited just as it's revealed. From the signs of that, of course, you recite in the salat, someone makes a statement of one harf in the salat with the Quran, someone's going to correct you. Right, everyone? So that which is of the Quran, it is recited just as it was what? Revealed. In contrast to that which is al-Hadith al-Qudsi, then it could be narrated by its meaning. Because you'll find some of the Sahaba, what he said, وَفِي لَفْظ وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ. You'll find that. Some of the Sahaba, they'll say, in another narration, slightly different, which all shows and emphasizes that they narrated by its meaning. But the Quran itself is not narrated by what? It's not narrated by its meaning. It's recited just as it was what? It was revealed. طيب. Was there another difference? Or was that it? That's what I told you guys. That was for the main one. The main of that which we want to speak about, so you want to get confused. There was another one. I just wanted to quickly mention that, which is pertaining to some of the ulama they mentioned. Of course, we know. Some of them say you can't touch the mushaf. When you're in a state of impurity, one is not supposed to touch the mushaf. Upon a statement of those who say it's not permissible to touch the mushaf Why he's in the state of junub, that he's in the state of impurity, minor impurity. Right, everyone? Upon that statement of our ulama, some of the ulama, upon that statement, it's not permissible to touch the mushaf except he's in a state of purification. In contrast to hadith al-Qudsi, if he wasn't in a state of purification, then he could what? He could read it. Right, everyone? That's upon the qawl of some of the ulama who take the opinion that what? That touching the mushaf, it's not permissible to touch the Quran or the mushaf, except that he has to be in a state of what? State of purification. You understand? طيب. Was that it? You with me? طيب. Once, first and last question, then we wait till the questions after the lesson. تفضل. We'll talk about that later, inshallah. طيب, let's get into the lesson. طيب. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we said it was on the authority of Abu Hurairah. We talked about the ta'rif or the history of Abu Hurairah a little bit. We spoke about that, and we talked about the hadith itself. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah Ta'ala said, which is another dalil, that the Quran, that the hadith al-Qudsi is from Allah, lafzan wa ma'nan, both. Like our Shaykh Muhammad ibn al-Jami, rahimahullah, that he also mentioned, he said this, that this is what's correct, even though some of our scholars that say that it's from Allah, as far as the meaning, but the love is from the Prophet ﷺ, you'll find that from our ulama who said that, but he said it's a khata, it's wrong. He said it's wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlooked our ulama and their mistake, and they also had their reward for it. He said, but that which is correct, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lafzan wa ma'nan, both. And that was the mawqif, and from the opinion of our ulama, Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lafzan wa ma'nan. Why? Because you see it says, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, قال الله. قال الله تبارك وتعالى. وكما يرويه عن ربه تبارك وتعالى. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى كذا. Right, everyone? So, the hadith, if one who says that it's from Allah as far as its meaning, but the wording is from the Prophet ﷺ, that's in agreement with the Asha'ira and what they believe in their deviance as far as pertains to the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we talked about in the last lesson, that they say the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is kalam nafsi. It's kalam nafsi. That is done within oneself. That is kalam that's done in oneself, and it's not actual words, as we mentioned last lesson, right, everyone? And in order to give some more clarification, we said last lesson from the great Imam, as the great Imam had mentioned in his book Sahib Lum'at al-I'tiqad, who's Abdul Ghani Ibn al-Qadam al-Maqdisi, rahimahullah, that he said that someone from the Asha'ira gave him salams, and what? He did not give salams back to him. And he asked him, why you give salams back to me? He said, because I did it myself. Upon your belief system, I don't have to give salams with my words, because I did it inside of myself. You understand, everyone? Upon which you believe, which is incorrect, which you believe, I don't have to give salams with my words. I just did it inside of myself. You know. So that's to give the emphasis on what the Asha'ira believe as far as the kalam of Allah. And this is the reason why we say that the hadith of Qudsi is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what? Lafzan wa ma'nan. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as far as the wording, and as far as likewise the meaning, both. Understand, everyone? طيب. So next part of the hadith we said, أنا أغنى الشركاء عن الشرك. I am the most self-sufficient and independent. Matter of fact, someone read it for me. Just quickly. You want to read it for me? تفضل شيخ.
On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Allah be pleased with him, that he said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah the Most High said, I am the most self-sufficient of partners from Ashir, associating partners with Allah in worship. Whoever did an action in which he made others partners with me in my worship, then I have left him in his shirk. Narrated by Muslim.
No. You notice that Shaykh Muhammad Abdul-Wahhab, rahimahullah, he put in as far as the title, firstly, Bab, the heading, Bab Ma'rifatillah wal-Eemaan bihi. Have a knowledge of Allah and also believing in Him. Both. And you know that Iman is comprehensive for all those different affairs, as we covered on numerous lessons prior, that Iman is belief. Ahl Sunnah, as we know, is what, everyone? Belief with the heart, statement with the tongue, and it's also what? Actions with the limbs. And it what? Increases and decreases. Salam alaikum. I won't go into that right now. Anyway, notice that he put a chapter or a heading on this chapter. The next hadith that we're going to get into with Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he didn't put a title on the chapter. As we talked about when we first inaugurated the lesson, we said that you'll find the Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab sometimes put a heading on the chapter, and sometimes he doesn't put a heading on the chapter. An example of that is in the next chapter, or the next hadith, which we'll take, inshallah. So that's the first thing. I'm sure you hope you didn't put a heading on there. It shouldn't be. So that's the first thing. He said, Ma'rifatullah, Bab Ma'rifatillah wal Imani bihi. To have knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and also faith in Him. Notice that he started off with the hadith that's pertaining to ikhlas. Number one. He started with the hadith that is pertaining to having ikhlas. So he inaugurated the book and started it with stressing the importance of that matter. Because anyone that starts off doing any type of ibadah, then always and first and foremost, what? His niyyah has to be pure for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is from the shurut of the acceptance of any type of act of worship, as we know. Right? It has to have يَتَوَافَرُ فِيهِ شَرْطَانِ. It has to have sincerity and also likewise in accordance with the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he started off the book with that hadith. So that which you say, or that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَنَا أَغْنَى الشُّرَكَاءِ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ. I am the most self-sufficient, and I am the most independent, and not of need of that which is of shirk. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need anything from anyone. As all of the benefit of the worshippers is all for the benefit of their own selves. And all the harm that you do of evil is for the harm against your own self. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لا تنفعه طاعة الطاعين ولا يضره معاصي العاصين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the obedience of those who obey Him doesn't benefit Him in the least or increase Him in anything in the least. Nor the harm of those who disobey Him doesn't do anything or harm anything against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything in the least. So for that which the ibad put forth of all those righteous actions is only for the benefit of their own self. مَنْ عَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ أَسَاءَ فَعَلَيْهَا وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, He says, whoever does righteous actions is for his own self. And whoever does that evil or commit that evil, then it's against his own self. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not oppress any of His slaves, any in the least. So that which you see firstly, that which is of the characteristic of sifatul ghani. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off the hadith, which is the characteristic of aghna, from the characteristic which is what? Ghani. Which is the third category of tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we know, is tawheed al-uluhiyyah wal-rububiyyah wa al-asma al-sifat. I don't think we need to talk about. Anyway, al-asma al-sifat, and from its characteristics, tabarak wa ta'ala, is sifat al-ghina. Characteristic of absolute, perfect, complete self-sufficiency and independency and free of any need of anything, tabarak wa ta'ala. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need anything of what He created, and Him being above the arsh. And if you look in the kitab al-Tahawiyah, in the sharh by Ibn Abil Izz al-Hanafi, you will mention that even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above the arsh, He does not need the arsh. He doesn't need anything. And the malaika, writing down your actions, He doesn't need the malaika. Rather, you'll find in the hadith of that which the Prophet ﷺ said, when the angels come to Allah, it says, Huwa a'lamu bihi. There's another narration that says that the malaika, that they say, your slave has disobeyed you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, look to my slave. But it says in the narration, Huwa absaru bihi, that Allah is more knowledgeable than His own malaika. And He is more knowledgeable when He sees, more better than His malaika. He sees, tabarak wa ta'ala, more than what the malaika see. Rather, He sees everything, tabarak wa ta'ala, because His sight is everywhere. He does not need anything He created, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Absolute, perfect self-sufficiency. But the malaika are created to establish an extra hujjah against you on the day of resurrection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need the malaika. Doesn't need anything He created subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the meaning of ghina, absolute perfect self-sufficiency, independency. Doesn't need anything. Of all those different ayats that come and affirm this characteristic, such as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, Usool al-Eemaan dhur-Rahma. It's from the ayah, oh man, which ayah? Usool al-Eemaan dhur-Rahma. I'll just give you the other one. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Fatir, where He says, Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara'u ila Allah. والله هو الغني الحميد إن يشاء يذهبكم ويأتي بخلق جديد وما ذلك على الله بعزيز ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, oh people, you are in need of Him. You are in need of Allah. And Allah is ghaniyun hamid, all self-sufficient, not in need, and He is all praiseworthy, tabaraka wa ta'ala, which is the Surah Al-Fatir. And as Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala also says in Surah Muhammad, as He says, tabaraka wa ta'ala, ها أنتم هؤلاء تدعون لتنفقوا في سبيل الله فمنكم من يبخل فإنما يبخل عن نفسه والله غني وأنتم الفقراء إن تتولوا يستبدل قوم غيركم ثم لا يكونوا أمثالكم. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Muhammad, which is the last ayah in Surah Muhammad, if I'm not mistaken, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is now you being called to spend in the cause of Allah. For from you who are stingy, whoever's stingy, they're stingy against his own self. Allah is not in need of anything. Rather, you are fuqara, always in need of Him. And if you turn away, then Allah will just replace you with another people, and they won't be like your, similar to your like. So those ayats is to prove the characteristic, to affirm the characteristic of that which is called ghina. And that ghina, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, is a characteristic that is called ghina dhatiyan. Everybody's preoccupied, huh? The ghina of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ghina. Something happened? I'll just put it in my pocket. What's wrong? Slide. Oh, it's making an echo. Oh, sorry. That Allah ta'ala, He is al-ghani, self-sufficient. And like we talked about in last lesson, if a person was to come to you and say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the ability to create a child, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the ability to create a child, what would be your answer? Like we talked about this before, and this is the importance of aqeedah, because the shayateen are out there. The shayateen are out there in order to cause confusion, to take you away from the correct path. And the one has to know the answer to this in order to defend himself from these type of afkar shaytaniyya iblisiyya, from these type of satanic iblis questions. So, inshallah, as we talked about the last year, Tafaddal Siddiq, right?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, my mom used to be correct today. Tafaddal.
The little that I remembered was we learned that is belief, like that thinking.
That's not what we said. It was.
To lower, how you should be thinking of the creator.
That's not the answer we gave, but I can't say it's a wrong answer. Something more in detail, more in depth. Tafaddal. Said this last week. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the ability to have a child. What will be your answer? Tafadal. You're on the right case. You're on the right track. We used to play the game like it was a little hot, bread and butter. You're hot, boiling. You're almost there. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does He have the ability to have a child? Does He have ability to have a child? The answer has in it details. You can't say yes totally. No, you can't. You say no totally. You just say no, you're saying he doesn't have the ability. And if you say yes, you're saying he's incomplete. Tfadal. طيب, I give another answer. Doesn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does he have the ability? There's another shaitan or iblis question where someone will ask you, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can't create another deity? Have the ability to create another deity? I'll give you guys 10 seconds and that's it. I'm going to answer the question because we got to get in the lesson.
No, he can't because
Don't holler out, but tfadal. Tfadal.
he can't because if that was the case, then he wouldn't be the creator.
Tfadal. Tfadal.
No, I was just going to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's able to do all things.
G. Mm-hmm. But. Tfadal.
Confused when you say that because he's all capable, so he can do whatever he pleases to do. But his names and attributes can't go in contradiction with each other, though.
You're there. You're right here. Tfadal.
They are regarding the deities. They are other deities,
The same answer will apply to both.
but he's the one that's working.
If he had a deity, what would necessitate there was another deity? That he needs. So I'll give you a hint. Tfadal, Sheikh. He stepped back, fall back from it. Tfadal.
So he's able to do all things, however, he isn't in need of any of these things.
Jayyid. طيب. We'll say this. The answer to this would be the same answer right now. If we said, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does he have the ability to eat? Does he have the ability to drink? Same thing. Include child, deity, whatever. All this included the same answer. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's capable of doing anything. But his ability is not connected with things which are impossible because if it was existed, it would necessitate some type of incompleteness as it pertains to him. Because it would bring forth a need, and he is self-sufficient. You understand? His ability is not connected with things which are impossible. Why? Because it would necessitate an incompleteness and a deficiency in him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand? His ability is not connected with what they call mustahilat. It's not connected with that which would necessitate some type of incompleteness with him. Because if these things existed, it would necessitate is a need. And Allah is self-sufficient. Because having a child shows what? Is a need. Another deity is a need. Food, need. Drink, need. You understand? They all apply to each other. There's no difference. You understand, everyone? So his ability is not connected with those affairs because it would necessitate some type of incompleteness as it pertains to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. That's what I'm saying. You guys was this close. طيب. So that's what you would give an answer if a shaitan came to you. First, you would just say, what would make you ask a question like that? Then secondly, if they wanted to know, this would be the answer. And I say, this is our belief that him, tabaraka wa ta'ala, he's able to do all things. We don't say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can't. First of all, that word is not in our vocabulary when it pertains to him. You understand? That's firstly. We don't say he la yaqdir. We don't never say that. That's the first thing. Secondly, we say that his ability or his power, subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not connected with these affairs or these things. Why? Because if it was to be brought into existence, it would necessitate some type of incompleteness or discrepancy in his completeness, tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's the reason why we say he doesn't have a child, he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have another deity similar to him, he doesn't have, he has food, doesn't eat, doesn't sleep, nothing to the end of it. As we know, the ayat of all that brings the negation of those characteristics that necessitate incompleteness. You understand, everyone? You understand? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that in the Quran. For example, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. That shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of things which are impossible. So our knowledge is complete. Those ayahs, for example, where he said, also, وَلَا يَغْلِي بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. If there was a deity or deities in the heavens other than him, they will all try to fight each other. There will be chaos. And one would try to overcome the other. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in his book. To show that he has knowledge of those affairs which are what? Which are considered from the mustahilat. There cannot be no deity other than one deity. Except him subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the only one that governs and administers the affairs of the creation. And if there was a deity other than him, they would try to fight each other and take over one another, as he mentions in his book, Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Understand, everyone? Is it clear? طيب. So it says, أَنَا أَغْنَى الشُّرَكَاءِ عَنِ الشِّرْكِ. We talked about last lesson and said the importance of ikhlas. Because we know on the day of resurrection is the day that everything that was done secretly, or everything that one was hiding, will become and be showed and manifested. Everything that was being hidden of intentions, or whether it be kufr or nifaq or whatever, the true identity will be revealed on the day of resurrection. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ. The day that everything secret will now be revealed. Everything will now be revealed and put to the table. You understand, everyone? So on that day, يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرِ, one has to now try to make ijtihad, fight hard with his niyyah every day. And make sure that niyyah is solely for him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And first and foremost, at the head of all of that, we said that shirk breaks down to two categories. The first one is what? Major shirk, as we don't need to touch on that. But this hadith is concerning that which is considered what? Minor shirk. We said that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned, we said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that is what? More akhfa. أخوف ما خاف على أمتي. And that is what? أخفى من دبيبة من نملة سوداء من دبيبي النملة السوداء على الصخرة السوداء في ظلمة الليل. That he said that this is the most fear what I have for my ummah. He said what is more inconspicuous than that which is of the crawling of a black ant under a black rock and the darkness of a black night. What he feared for his ummah is that which is of minor shirk, which can creep in one and destroy him, rather it be from the people who will be exposed on the day of resurrection. The first three who will be what? Exposed on the day of resurrection, as we know that which is on the authority of Abu Hurairah, and it's in the Sahihain, where the Prophet ﷺ had also mentioned what he said, أول ما يقضى بين العباد رجل استشهد فأتي به فقال ماذا عملت فيه؟ قال قاتلتك حتى استشهد. قال كذبت ولكن قاتلت ليقال هو جريء وقد قيل فأمر به فسحب على وجهه ثم ألقي في النار. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned about the man who what? He attained martyrdom. He fought in the cause of Allah. And he would be brought. Why? He said that he fought in the cause of him until he attained that martyrdom. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed his secret, truly, what was his niyyah, and exposed him. And he said to him, what? Why did you fight? For your cause. He said, you lie. You only fought to be called what? Brave. You're just a brave person. And it was said in the dunya. And it'll be what? Be commanded, then he'll be dragged on his face and thrown in hell. And we know the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the second one is the man that was what? تعلمت القرآن فأتي بوات تعلمت القرآن. He also another narration it says تعلمت العلم. He said وماذا